Leaders are not born to lead. They acquire their expertise through experience and learning. So in this video, I want to look at some of the principles of leadership development. Some people may learn about leadership at an early enough stage in their lives to make it look like they were born to lead. However, leadership development, whether deliberate or otherwise, is the way that anyone can learn to lead. But here's the thing. An organisation can't develop leaders, and nor can trainers, or coaches, or leadership guides. All that they can do is make available the training, the materials, the resources, the opportunities, and the context in which leaders can develop themselves. And there are 4 main ways that they can do this: acquiring knowledge, coaching and mentoring, practicing leadership, and getting feedback. Let's start with acquiring knowledge. Leadership development usually includes training, although training alone can never fully develop a leader. However, what would I expect to see in the training part of a leadership development program? Technical skills, job, role and functional related skills. Soft skills, interpersonal skills, communication skills, call them what you will, dealing with people. Managerial and delegating skills, the craft of getting people to do the work. Analytical, creative and decision-making skills that solve problems and trigger the next step. Political skills, working through the network within your organisation and across your industry. And finally, business acumen, understanding the big picture of what's going on, again, in your organisation, in your industry, but also in the commercial environment as a whole. Most of this learning will, of course, take place outside of the context of a leader's job. So let's look next at what happens on the margins of their job. Coaching and mentoring. I'll be doing dedicated videos about both coaching and mentoring. In essence, however, a mentor works with a person to help them to understand their experiences and challenges and to solve the problem they face through the experience of the mentor. Mentors tend to bring experience to a relationship. It may be task or role or technical experience, or it may be positional or industry-based experience, or it might be general experience of life itself. But the essence of a mentoring role is to teach what you know. A coach, on the other hand, listens to the aspiring leader's challenges and problems. They ask them questions which prompt the leader to think of their own solutions, their own ideas, their own resolutions. A coach is good at prompting thought, increasing awareness, and helping the emerging leader to take responsibility for their own choices. Of course, in reality, we don't just find coaches and mentors operating at one or the other extreme end of a spectrum of styles of coaching and mentoring. The reality is that most coaches and mentors operate somewhere in the fuzzy middle, maybe towards one end, maybe towards another. A good coach, mentor, may well choose to deploy some mentoring and some coaching according to the needs of the learner. If coaching and mentoring takes place on the margins of a leader's job, can they also gain leadership development experience on the job? The answer, of course, is yes. Practicing leadership. The best leadership development is when the aspiring leader gets a chance to take their experience, their knowledge, their coaching and their mentoring into the real world and give it a spin. to test it out against reality and to find out what their style, what their learning really means in the real world. To make this happen, many organisations have programs that set aspiring leaders real challenges. These might be in the form of an interim leadership role, or leading projects or other initiatives, taking on voluntary roles that involve leadership, or indeed leadership simulations, not actually in the real world, but simulating the real world in a way that feels real to the leader at the time. Whatever the real world leadership experiences you get, the next element is crucial. Getting feedback. Critical to the success of any leadership development opportunity is good quality feedback. Aspiring leaders need objective, accurate and complete feedback on their performance, from which they can understand what they have done and learn from it. Feedback is so important in the world of management and leadership that I have a whole course on that, on management courses. I'll put a link in the description. Are there any other leadership development interventions? Yes, of course there are. There are things like work shadowing, coaching and mentoring others, and leadership games that are constructed to give a leader opportunities to try out different things. All of these can be wrapped together into a leadership development program. These start with process design. Here we examine what outcomes we want from our leadership program, the tiers of leadership that we want to train, the things that the leaders need to be able to do and to know and to understand. From this examination, we can design a program, or maybe different programs for different leaders. Secondly, and crucially, we need to get institutional support for our leadership development program. Leadership development needs to be seen as a strategic priority, and as a result, we need to ensure that leadership development is baked into the culture. It also needs to be conspicuously supported from the top of the organisation, by the board, by the chief executive officer, and by all of the chief officers of the organisation. And finally, it needs to be supported and reinforced by all levels of leadership and management. The third stage in a leadership development program is candidate selection, identifying potential future leaders and bringing them into the program. To do this, you need to build an evaluation program and the criteria against which you're going to determine objectively who are the talented individuals that might make future leaders. This needs to be objective to avoid any inadvertent discrimination. Not only would this be illegal in many jurisdictions, but it runs the risk of missing out exceptional future leaders who don't necessarily fit a pattern that you're implicitly assuming. Step 4 is the formal training of the potential leaders. The topics that you train leaders on will, of course, depend upon the situation, the context, the type of organisation, the role the leaders are going to take, and their level of seniority. Early stage leaders, for example, will need basic implementation and people leadership skills. Senior leaders will need more work on business acumen and strategic leadership. The final stage in a leadership development process is to create and manage leadership development opportunities. Opportunities for the developing leaders to exercise their leadership within the organisation or beyond. Good leadership challenges will create situational experiences from which the leaders can learn deeply. And finally, at step 6, we need a debriefing and feedback and coaching process to support all of this, to make sure that the emerging leaders can get the most from their learning and from their experiences. Please do give this video a like if you've enjoyed it or learned from it. I'll be making loads more great management courses videos for you, so please do subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss any of them. I look forward to seeing you in the next video, and in the meantime, keep learning.